Absolutely. I can either tell you the truth or tell you a lie. It's not a midlife crisis, so.
I'd like to call May's regular meeting to order. Would you all please rise and recite with me the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. Augie, would you please call the roll?
Farnham.
Here.
Lawton.
Here.
Luddington.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Ellis. Voigt.
Here. All right, we do have a quorum. In fact, everybody's here. So we need to move on to the minutes of April 14th, 21, April 8th, 21, and April 26th, 21. You've had a chance to look at those minutes. Are there any additions or corrections, please? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion to approve those minutes as submitted. Phil moves. Andy seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They are approved. Thank you. Claims against the county. You've had those for a few days. Do you have any questions or clarifications that are needed? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the claims as presented. Russ moves. Andy seconds. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. They are approved. County Board member claims. You've had those likewise for a few days. Do you have any questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for their approval. Andy moves. Phil seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. We have a rostrum up there. If you have some comments, we just simply ask that you identify yourself by name, obviously, and hold your comments to roughly 5 minutes. So, are there any public comments this morning? Hearing none, we move on. We don't have anything for highway this morning unless anybody has something they want to discuss about what we talked about on Monday morning. Okay. Action on amended, number 9, action on amended Edgar County Wind Farm Energy Conversion System Ordinance. We talked about it at great length on Monday morning. I think we pretty much decided amongst ourselves that we'd like to table that until action at the June meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have some people who want more information, I think.
Right.
I don't see any reason why we can't wait.
Yeah, that's fine. Can I have a motion to table this particular item? Andy moves. Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is tabled to our June meeting. Next, action on liquor license application for Cashman Hammond, subject to opinion of state's attorney. Augie, do you want to, you have a copy of it in our packet. Do you want to just briefly describe that, Augie, and what process we're going through right now?
Certainly.
Thank you.
A couple weeks ago, Cashman Hammond came into the office, or actually it's been a month ago, asking about an application for a liquor license. He wants to put a packaged liquor store in Grandview.
Grandview.
Well, he already has a store there, right?
Well, he wants to be able to have packaged liquor there, so I
Right.
guess that, we were saying the same thing, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No. I'm just
And I told him that, you know, the board would consider it, most likely it will go up to the state's attorney's office to have him review it. And so that's where it sits right at this moment on Mark's desk.
We do not have to amend our ordinance if you should decide to issue this. We're allowed, right now, under the way it's written, we have room for 5 licenses. I think with the current
We have
time, we
3.
have 3.
Yep.
So we do have 2 that we could issue without modifying our general policy on liquor licenses. Yes,
What's the license cost?
$1,000.
Does Grandview have a governing body? I was gonna ask that too.
Other than a
Yeah,
township,
we got 6 houses.
but there's no village government. It's just township.
So I saw the application, there was very little information on it. So what does the state's attorney use to consider it?
I think he'll review our liquor policy that's been on file for, oh gosh, a long time.
07?
Something, yeah, a long
Something like
time. And just look it over to make sure that whatever Mr. Hammond has put on his application would be in line with what our policy says. And then, of course, Mark won't make the decision, but he'll point out any potential issues that are there for the board to be aware of. But that's,
So we make this decision?
yes, the board will make it, but he'll advise you.
Yeah, you can wait till his opinion, you could make it subject to his opinion, whatever. Augie just put it in there to be flexible.
I
We
did
don't
that
know
in
what
case
your-
Mark would have it
Right.
done between, yeah.
Are the citizens aware of this thing?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole
Are
thing.
the citizens of that area aware of liquor?
I know that, what's Bonnie's last name? Bonnie used to work for FS. She called me about another issue and she was aware of it.
Okay.
But that's only one person down there, so
Did she have an opinion?
she didn't care either way.
Okay.
Okay.
She just wanted to let me know she wasn't the one applying for it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not competition, I don't know what would be the objection.
Well,
One concern I had, I read through the application, you know, it asks quite a few different questions, background and this and that. Who checks on that? You know, he answers yes or no. Who looks into it? Do we have the sheriff do a background check on the person? You know, and I don't know what our policy is, you know.
have we done that before, even on the temporaries?
Well, not on the temporaries, because those are 24 hours.
Right.
And they show us a liquor license from the state of Illinois, plus,
So would he have to get a license through the state of
He
Illinois?
can't get one until he has one from us.
yes, right.
Yes.
Right.
And then do
So-
they do that background
Do they
check?
They will
They
do
will.
record.
So if someone does
Right.
background
Someone
on
is
before he
checking.
gets the final thing, well, that's good.
That's,
Yes.
that's.
Yeah, they won't issue a check, they'll run his.
Okay, all right.
Or hers,
That's
whoever.
my concern.
Right, no,
Yeah.
that's legit.
The 3 that we have existing have been in place, obviously, as you know, for a very long time. So we've never been through the application process.
None of us here anymore.
No,
Right.
we haven't, but
Yes, Andy?
The
Augie?
liquor laws are really strange. When I got mine, Jack Asher went through it to tell me what to do, exactly how to proceed with it. And actually, the township has to issue the liquor license. The county regulates it, but the township issues.
Well, Mark will tell us that.
That's the same reason that, you know, in Chrisman, it was dry, well, it's part of Edgar County, but Chrisman was dry. So, when I say issues it,
Now, the city took care of that liquor
okay, that
license
was
up
an
there.
incorporated
Right.
area, okay. But the laws are really weird.
I suggest that we wait till we hear from Mark, okay? I mean, it makes sense. We don't want to issue something or even give somebody false hope unless we know all the ins and outs. Agreed? So do you want to table this one or just so we can,
That'd make it to the June meeting, right?
right?
Point out how anxious this guy is to.
Well, we can't do what we
Can't say
can't
anything
do.
else.
It's
State's
a
attorney.
process, even after we would say, okay, there's still another lengthy process
Yeah.
on table.
You making a motion to
I
table?
will.
We get a second? Russ seconds. All those in favor of tabling this till the June meeting signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Okay. But at least you know what's going on. Let's see, we need to reappoint Dave Neal to the Housing Authority with term ending 5/1/25. Anybody have any comments? I think several of us have done our due diligence, which, you know, not knocking anybody that hasn't, but I think the Housing Authority is running on 8 cylinders and very well. I commend their new director, and I think we should reappoint Dave Neal. In fact, I'm recommending it. So, do we have a motion to approve?
I have a question. You have any comment on that, Scott?
No comment.
All right. Just
He
one.
seems to be pretty engaged and involved.
Oh, yeah, all of them, all 5 of them
Right.
are great.
And I've talked to a couple people, board members,
Yeah, me
and
too.
they seem happy, you know, feel like he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I think they all work well together.
And I talked to a person that lived out there, and they thought the board overall was doing a good job, obviously, and they said you were doing a good job, so, you know, I would.
Yeah, I mean, it's all positive. I was serious.
That's what I heard.
Did you make the
I
motion,
did.
Phil?
I did.
And Dan seconds, so do we need a roll call on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. He is reappointed, and we thank all the board members and staff and director for everything they're doing out at the Housing Authority. Reappoint John Shiddick, Greg Henry, and Dale English to the Farmland Committee. They've been serving on that for what, this will be their 3rd term, those 3. And I think they've learned, they all said they've learned a lot more than they knew before they got on the board, and realized some things and have been able to pass on a lot of things to other farmers. So that's a good thing. Do we have a motion to reappoint these gentlemen? Carl moves.
I will.
Phil seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Now is there any other regular business that we couldn't act on that might need to come before the board, just to make sure that we're not missing anything? Okay. Officers and department head reports. Don, you haven't given one in a long time, so here you go.
Because I've been in Jamaica and taking on a new work.
I thought maybe there was some.
Jamaican
Yeah, you've received several different reports today. The one that I normally hand out every board meeting, see where Jeff has handed it to you. It's 3 pages this time because I thought, since it's been a while since I formally presented one, it reflects 11 years, okay? And you can go all the way back to 2012 and see the cash flow over the past 11 years. And as you can see this year, it's looking a whole lot better. State payments are generally on time and very reliable as far as showing up on a steady basis. You also received a copy of the audit and also a supplemental report on the commissary, and there is still a pending copy of the single audit, which is required if we receive over the threshold of $750,000 countywide of federal funds. Okay, we did exceed that. It used to be 500,000, now it's 750. And then I heard it through, I think the auditor, that it may be going up to $1 million. I'm not sure. But we, without any doubt, exceeded that this year. I don't know when we'll be getting that. I gave Mr. Griffin a copy of the AFR annual financial report that was submitted to the comptroller's office, which is required by statute. Other than that, you will see that there is a new fund added to your list on this report right here at the bottom, called 858, called Federal Recovery Fund that's in anticipation of receiving some funds here in the next week, 4 or 5 business days of our first half payment or whatever is going to be about, in round numbers, 1.6 million. If you have any questions on that, or you're probably already familiar with it, Jeff is really familiar with it, more than I. We will be tracking those funds so that in the future, if anybody asks what we spent the money on, we can with confidence tell them what it was for. Other than that, I will let you know, we've done some, Jeff has seen it, he's been in regular at the office. We've done some remodeling. Of course, last year we moved the counter that the public comes to. We have it facing east now. The hallway is secured with a door with a push button access code. We have plexiglass as a barrier. It has worked out great, as does the assessment office, has the same barriers. Also, we've removed our little kitchenette because we've done a lot of employee break room where they can eat and not have to leave site. And to be honest with you, the kitchen sink drain has been an ongoing issue for years, and we were not gonna pay a plumber for a dead horse, okay? So the dead horse is gone, may it rest in peace, and in place of it, we are putting a door in. I've been doing that work where I will be moved back to my own personal office because we will be having a second full-time person in the near future because, quite frankly, folks, we can't keep up on the work. And I'm a hands-on treasurer. I'm trying to do my part, but we need another full-time person along with a couple of part-timers. We had one part-timer finally, I hate losing her, but Ramona Mattingly finally handed back her key after almost 40 years of great service. And I would like to have a get-together sometime because it never fails. People come in, nobody likes to come in and pay their taxes, but I wish I had $1 for every time if Ramona just didn't happen to be there that day. Well, where's Ramona? Where's Ramona? So,
She was good, she is good people.
and the rest of my staff has been working alongside her and fortunately have picked up some good qualities themselves that on top of what they already have. I've rambled on long enough. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Mayor.
On the first page, we always kid somebody about drainage ditches. What's a drainage district fund? I mean, is that
Okay.
money comes in from the state or what?
No, we collect it on our tax bills. It's a special assessment based on the type of soil and acreage and what have you. It goes into each drainage district is to maintain their own district. It's for water drainage to help the ability to produce a good crop by keeping the water drained. This goes back, some of these drainage districts are over 100 years old, and some of the tiles in these drainage districts are 100 years old. And when they have to do some major maintenance, I've seen some checks go out to people like Charlie Adams, or Alan Adams and Sons, Tribby, several others. I'm not promoting them, I'm just saying for $70,000, $80,000. It's a big chunk to keep these maintained. Beaver control, that's one of the big ones.
Beaver.
Yeah, and I notice you guys may see these come through, you're really not approving them, it's just more convenient to run it through the regular channels. The commissioners, they have to have at least 2 commissioners, at the most 3. They're approving it, they just present me with a warrant, a claim, and I'm the treasurer for about, in round numbers, 30 drainage districts.
How does Big James figure into this?
He is a very,
I want some good info here.
Yeah, we give them a.
okay, most districts that I know of retain an attorney to do some of the filings, and Mr. James is our biggest winner of that.
Big, yeah.
He usually, I think he's got 20-some of the 30 that, and then we have some other, Mr. Cash, Craig and Craig, are the other 2 major ones.
I just wonder what he did, just.
Oh,
just for-
please.
Just for I can put some crap on him.
Yes, please, Mr. James does not hesitate to come in and wake me up from my nap, as he says, so please.
Thanks. Trust me.
I've noticed that the drainage districts back, you go back 11 years, and I think they had a balance of about 150 grand. And now they've got I noticed the only year that they've gone down is the current year we're in. And there's now probably 1.147 million in there. Are they, can they reduce their fees to, until they need them, or till they use up some of their funds? Because they've pretty much got $1 million in 11 years, and
Right.
That's what I was wondering, I mean.
Okay.
it's money.
Needless to say, the balances of these individual funds that are making up this total amount. I think the high-end drainage district has round numbers, 150 grand, all the way down to less than $1,000.
okay.
So I'm not sure, but I think they are to, if they are neglecting or not maintaining the district and are carrying a healthy balance, I think they are required to do something responsible, either start maintaining the district, put some money into it, or pull back on the levy. And I'm
This-
assuming they
this
would
is
do,
tax money,
it's what?
tax money.
Yes, it's gonna be anybody, not just farmers, some of the villages, Hume, Metcalf, some of those areas up there, even a land lot will pay some drainage. It's usually less than $1, anywhere from $1 to $5, but it can be a pretty good chunk that hits the tax bill.
Well, we don't want to interfere with their work, but it's obvious when you look at what's available, that,
Yeah, well, I was wondering.
so.
And how do we get a $100 annual fee from every district that I'm the treasurer of. We also get $5 per claim for the paperwork. And I've seen it as high as maybe a dozen claims for one district. But the benefit to them, of course, is they're part of our audit. They're part of the county's monies in the bank, so they are at least being audited. They're getting a bargain. And I'm not promoting we should raise the fees, I'm just saying it's a win-win for them.
Thanks, I just wondered.
Is this the time you want to talk about taxes, collections, interest, penalties?
Right now, Mr. Griffin's office has the current upcoming season of taxes. He and I have spoken about it. He called and we kind of got a timetable up, hoping that maybe by mid to late May, somewhere in there, that it gets rolled to me, where I can start reviewing and processing, printing. Needless to say, statute says the treasurer or the treasurer/tax collector sets the due dates, and then statute dictates the standard penalty on the 2 installments that of the system that we have in place. Last year, the board did a resolution more as a suggestion, recommendation in favor of waiving some of the penalty or pushing it back on the back burner, and also pushing the due dates back a month. And I went ahead and did that in both situations. The results were, I really didn't see much of a difference. We still collected around the same amount at the tail end of the season. I will say this, pushing the due dates back 1 month to September and November, it pushed my tax sale and everything into our new fiscal year, and some of the distributions into the new calendar year. And I'm gonna just be blunt. It was irritating, it was strenuous, it was a burden for my office, okay? So, the waiving of the penalty was really nothing. It probably was good for my office, it was less to deal with, but on the downside, the county doesn't reap the county is the one that receives all penalties. So,
Yeah, we just wanted to talk about it.
right,
Donna and I have talked about it and wanted to see whether we leave it like it's been in the past up till last year, whether we want to consider any mitigation for what's going on, but we need to talk about it instead of just Don making a decision or whatever.
I will say, as far as feedback from the public, they were very appreciative, for the most part. Farmers, I'll just say this, I'll use the word loved, because they could pay both installments in, let's see, August, in October with no penalty, and by that time, they've got some money sitting in the bank from harvest. So, it helped them out. As far as distribution-wise to the schools and whatever, I still was able to give them a good shot in the arm, just like everybody else. And we were able to take care of that ourselves for whatever. So there I will get off my soapbox.
No, so comments from the board?
Did have a lot of people take advantage of the late payment or?
Yeah, there were some that were, tell you what, they get the bill in the mail, and if we were still open that day, they're in paying it. They want that off their back. Then there were some that did go ahead and make, even though it was waived with no penalty, they still made their punctual by installment. And then there were the ones that waited to the end. And I'm not saying all farmers waited to the end, but some of them did.
Comments?
No.
Thoughts?
When do you need to know if we want to continue it like last year? I mean, is there a deadline that you need to know that by?
Okay, when is our board meeting next month?
June, hang on.
So,
So the study board is on.
7 and 9, Lisa says.
Okay, she's absolutely correct.
Well, I knew
What is
that,
it?
I knew that right.
The 9th of June.
Well, there is a chance that we'd be printing tax bills by then, and for the tax bills to reflect a no penalty on the first installment, I would really need to know. There's a chance we'll be printing tax bills, a chance, by
So,
June 9th.
I guess what you're saying is it wouldn't hurt us that bad if we did away with the penalty on the first go-round. Leave the tax bills out for you to decide when to take them or send them out.
Right, I'm trying to think, I know last year you did a resolution just as a,
Just to support you.
yes. And having done that, I can, at my discretion, I can say that that is good enough for me to move forward and consider it or not consider it, if that is okay with the board. I mean, it's my decision, but I feel like you've done this before. We're still having some of this, the COVID effects on employment and stuff like that. I don't think it really impacted the county, maybe $10,000-15,000 on penalties.
Does anybody object to, at his discretion, waiving the first penalty?
Nope.
Does anybody have a problem with going back to the tax dates that we normally have?
Which is usually a mid to late July first installment and a mid to late September
Is that what
installment.
you want?
I don't have any.
It would be a lot
time, so
less
make it-
burden for my office.
Whatever you want, suits me.
Right.
We agree with your philosophy on it. Carl, did you have any comments? Okay. Lisa?
No, I'm good.
I don't
You're
know,
good?
Carl.
I think everybody's good with what's been suggested and what works best. It still alleviates some of the pressure on people, and it gets us, kind of weans them back into the way it probably will be next year and so forth.
Well, you and I really hadn't talked about it that much other than.
Right.
And in the back of my mind, before I even came in here today, I was hoping that I could go ahead and go back to the standard due dates and go ahead and go at least one more year delaying the penalty. That was my conscience talking to me,
Okay.
which is sometimes
Yes,
smarter
yeah,
than my
well,
brain, but
You actually have a conscience.
you have to have a brain to be treasurer, I'll tell you that right now.
It could be pretty
Okay.
simple.
Any other questions of Don at this point, other than, always stop in and see him, he likes
Sure
that.
nice to see you, Donnie.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I kinda missed
I
you.
I can't quite see you.
That's okay, I'm used to it by
Look how
now.
my wife would feel.
All right. Moving on, Jill?
Let's see, I got my approval letter from the state that my emergency operations plan has been approved. Submitted all my documents for accreditation, which is due May 15th, and I have been talking to Adam about working on our county exercise.
Okay. I saw something emailed to us yesterday about some funding, or did I misread that? Last night, it came in late yesterday.
I don't know, I don't think I've gotten anything.
Okay, all right, I must be dreaming. Any questions of Jill? Angie, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, haven't seen you for, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 hours?
I really don't have anything to report today. Everything's running smooth.
Staffing's good and everything, pretty
Yes.
much?
My new person is Linda Scherer. I don't know if I told you that last time. She worked at Pools, and she's really good. She reminds me a lot of her mom.
That's a step up out of pools.
Yeah.
Get away from it.
Okay. Any questions of Angie?
Nothing personal.
Scott, good morning. You've already spoken to us a little bit, but
Morning.
do you have anything you would like to bring to our attention, or?
Housing Authority front, Eric Brown retires from he's the chief of the Paris Police Department. He retires in July, and I hired him, full-time to create a new position like security for all 4 of our developments for the Housing Authority. And, so Eric's gonna be in charge of that and in charge of like lease enforcement issues, which, will be wonderful to have him. Coroner's office, we're averaging, well, not averaging, we've had an overdose death every month this year, which is much higher than normal, obviously. Adam can give you a better count on how many overdoses they deal with, but, the fact that we've had a death every month this year, is not looking good. but, that's really, really all I have. So.
Questions? Scott?
Seems like last month there was a question about paying the hospital or something on the,
Did we get paid, we normally just pay it once a year. Is your rent been paid and everything to the hospital?
Andy usually handles it, but they haven't said anything to me. I know last year they called me.
I guess I was kinda hoping they'd send a bill, but I don't think they have.
Okay.
someone needs to look into that to make sure,
We're up to-
they're getting paid or we're up current or whatever. I just remember it was brought up last month.
Yes, it was.
And I didn't know whether that got took care of or not.
No,
Yeah, I have not heard anything either way, so.
I'll look into it.
Well, Augie's office would know whether we've done it or not,
Right, I'm assuming.
and where.
So we need to contact the hospital and make sure we get something.
Yeah, we need a bill from them if they have it.
No, this was the year the contract was up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I contacted them, they said they're fine with renewing the contract another 3 years, just the same terms and everything.
Okay.
But when I talked to them, then that's when I discussed it with them, but no one ever really got back with me on it, so
Okay.
I was kinda waiting for them to, they did contact, they told them they were gonna renew the contract, so they haven't gotten a copy or anything, so I'll find out.
So it's
Find
a-
out and they need to get a new contract for us.
Is it a yearly fee that they pay?
I'm not sure.
We pay?
Yeah. Well, it's a month, but we pay it once a year. That's what we've done in the past.
Something's been paid out of that lease account.
What's that
We
now?
paid $11,500 out of that account so far.
Total.
Yeah.
That's for the last three years?
No, that's just this year. I'm just saying that we have a line item to pay that
Okay.
$5,000 out of.
Okay.
And 11,500 has been used out of that account. We've written checks, and the account has $27,500 budgeted, so we'll just have to see. I'll check into, you're not following me? Okay, in the budget, we budgeted $27,000 to pay leases in general for the whole county.
Okay.
And the 5,000 that we're supposed to pay is in that budget. And we so far spent 11,500 of the 27,500. So we've written
On
some.
different
On
leases.
different leases.
On different leases,
Right,
could be that
Not
lease.
just the.
Right, that's what I'm
partner.
saying, for the whole county. Yes.
You've inspired something I need to mention. When I submit all the information to the auditors effective November 30th, it has to be submitted on an accrual basis. So I had to do a lot of accruing affecting the November 30th numbers. I have not had a chance to do the flip side from December 1st on, meaning you're gonna see some expenses go down and some expenses go up, revenues and whatever, when I get around to doing these flip side journal entries to, and I'll just give you one for instance. The accounts payable of December board meeting 9th, most of those expenses I had to reassign to November because most of those bills were for November. However, those expenses are still sitting in there for December. So it's showing them twice, but it's 2 different fiscal years. I need to reverse that expense in December for a lot of those December board meeting claims.
It's already been done in the audit,
Yes,
okay? So
for up through November 30th.
it's just not reflected in some of the documents that you have yet.
Yeah.
But the auditors have done that.
So having you guys saying this 11,500, that may be
Last year's.
a duplicate hit on something somewhere in there, depending on when it was paid. So, thank you for,
We'll- We'll just check and see about the ambulance payment, or I'm sorry, the coroner's payment. Okay? Thank you, Carl. Anything else now? Augie?
No, Don took care of my speech, so thank you, Donald.
Time, class 79, no problem.
We work well together, so I trust his judgment. And we are hoping to finish up, next to the last process this Friday. And then we'll do a final review, and then we'll push everything over to Don's office.
Are the letters out to the agencies to double check?
They are. And then we apply the multiplier to it, which is 1, and let the state know that here's where we are. And then we'll print out a final approval letter for each of the taxing bodies. We'll review that, and we'll move it on to Dawn. So hopefully that, we're already at mid-May, so mid to late May, I think, is what you were hoping for. When I believe we're gonna be hopefully a week early.
I hope the taxing districts thoroughly check and read your letters. Sometimes they don't,
Sometimes they don't.
and they don't catch
They
that.
don't catch it, and sometimes we catch it, and sometimes we don't. I mean, so,
Okay.
other than that, that's it, unless you have questions for me.
Questions of Augie, please? Adam, do you have anything to add this morning?
To Scott's point, there has, I mean, our overdoses have definitely seen an uptick, not just the deaths. We're dealing with, I'd say, an average of 2 overdoses a week lately. There's a batch of meth going around that's apparently laced with heroin, and people who think they're shooting at methamphetamine are not realizing that the heroin is basically stopping their respiratory drive and then causing us to intervene. So we're going through a lot of that lately. New ambulance procurement is on track. Had a good conversation with our supplier the other day, so hopefully we'll be possibly getting one by the end of the year, depending on their time frame. My covert ambulance should be back today with full Horizon Health lettering on it, so.
Sorry, down a little bit on that one.
Yeah, we've looked into that, Dan, I just can't do it for you.
Good job.
They got a set of earplugs for you to
Yeah,
sleep
well,
with.
Nothing else from me unless you guys have questions.
Thank you, Adam. Jeremy, do you have anything to add, just to let the board know where things are at? I think I've told them, but if you want to
Yeah,
add anything.
the ambulance board is accepting bids on all the assets on opening in June 1st that evening, so.
Yeah. Morning, Wyatt.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do you have anything you want to add this morning? I know you sent me some links on
Solar.
solar, thank
Yep.
you. So,
We are doing a solar landowners meeting tonight. I know Lisa reached out as well, she'll be on that. Same thing we did for wind, where our experts up in home office in Bloomington will talk about landowners' rights, what to look for, what to expect when dealing with these solar companies. So, it'd be great to have you guys on and hopefully learn something from it. Other than that, we just like to be kept in the loop on the wind and whatever we can do to help and make sure that gets put into place and then start on solar, I guess.
yep, onward and upward,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So any other ag questions, anything, feel free to let us know.
Have you heard of anybody come interested in putting in a solar farm in Edgar County?
They are being approached and we've recommended lawyers to those individuals.
I mean, something similar to like over at Kansas or Ashmore, that
Yep.
scope?
Yep.
Really?
That's pretty big.
So we need to start meeting on solar like yesterday.
Yeah, potentially. Hopefully we can have wind wrapped up and then we can dive right into solar whenever you guys are ready. We'll be ready to help out.
We appreciate you gonna be there tonight. And bring back some info and, okay.
What's the story behind this thing here?
It's just
Information.
information that is sent out through that particular group of people, okay? Anything else from the audience? Okay, the board member, we didn't get a chance to hear from each individual board member on Monday morning. I think we got out of there at 12, didn't we, or 12:15?
Yes.
It was a late day.
Big overtime, didn't it?
So Dan, let's hear about your cats.
Cats are doing fine. The young one.
I was kidding, Dan. I was kidding. That was sarcasm.
You don't want the story?
No.
No,
Okay.
You can tell us later. I'll stay over.
I
Okay.
called
I hear it
Andrew.
every day. I don't hear it.
Called Andrew yesterday. She had an influx of animals. She's up to 18. That's a full load out there.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the cages now are covered and some other
Yeah,
things have
she
been
has
done.
someone that's gonna do some more work on them. So I told her go ahead and do it, so. The outside cages,
Yes.
but, doing fine, no problems. You don't
Anything
wanna hear about the cats?
later?
No.
Later. We'll have a
Okay.
special study session for that.
Okay. Other than that, everything's fine, I think so.
Andy?
Sycamore has gotten over, they put in the tank they said, I contacted them to discuss adding on for heat in the basement, and we met, and then he said, well, that week they were gonna come put the tank on the boiler across the hall, and then run the new pipe, so that's all done, except they're waiting for, as of Monday, they were waiting for the electrician to come wire things up, and that part of the boiler system will all be in good shape then. Ray was real happy. He said, and then he doesn't have to keep track of things as far as how much water you're losing and different things, so. And I did discuss with Sycamore, there's, basically what they said, there's 24 tons of heating, cooling capacity in the basement. You can either put two 12-ton units or 3 8-ton units, and I said, well, whatever would be the best system that you think would work down here. So they're drawing something up, and will get back with us on.
Can you ask them about the influx of fresh air? One of the things that's come out of the evaluation of the current warehouse, or courthouse, is that there's very little fresh air coming into the courthouse. And that would be advantageous for disease control, health, general health, is to have as much fresh air as we can get into this building. I mean,
That's probably just a function of the age of the building, that wasn't a consideration.
Well, just see what they have
You
to
didn't have
say.
air conditioning, you had the windows open.
Right.
So,
Well, that's what Mark said. He goes, well, does it count that I have my window open half the time? I go, no.
right.
So the return airs, though, could be, they could augment the return air with fresh air. I don't know. I'm just asking.
I mean,
I'm not trying to cause a,
most modern buildings have
yeah.
a system in them that brings in X amount of fresh air.
Okay. Well, that's something we need to address now or later.
All right.
Okay, because that's important. The other thing is I talked to Judge Garst and Judge Sullivan, and they have windows in their chambers. Garst has problems with air, especially cold air, running around his windows.
Really?
Yes, and Matt has problems with that and rain coming in. So maybe you could address that with Ray, and he could go up and assess what they're dealing with. And maybe we could address it while it's still nice weather and it could cause less problems, okay?
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know exactly. I guess we got new windows in this building other than what was just put in where they expanded them, but in the 90s, they put in brand-new windows.
It was the 90s, I think it was the 80s.
Well,
Yeah, whenever.
whenever it was.
Right.
They're saying that, well, at least Judge Garst is saying his has been leaking for 20 years, so we're finally. we need to address it, okay?
Okay, that's the first I've heard that, so.
I know,
Okay.
I mean, it's the first
No,
I've
I'm
heard
glad.
of it.
I encourage people, as much as they hate to tell me things, to tell me things.
Well, anyway,
Okay.
so that's something we need to deal with, if you would.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you told me. That's all I've got right now.
Any questions of Andy? Phil?
Nope.
Russ?
I did receive a call from a resident to look at a drainage ditch issue.
Right.
I've talked to the assistant engineer,
Dirk.
Dirk, discussed it with him, relayed the information back. I haven't heard back if he's personally talked to see if everything's happy.
Okay.
I explained the best I could what I was told.
I think they've had both sides, I think they've talked to both sides, but I don't know exactly what the disposition is of that. So, if I run into Dirk, I'll have him give you a call and tell you where they're at, okay?
But yeah, I did go up and look at what they were telling me, and
We had another drainage district up in Prairie Township, and Dirk, I think, more or less handled that one, but with the drainage district, so. That's it?
that's it.
Lisa?
No.
Nope. Carl? Nope. I did have a couple things that I was not, let's see. Gotta find the right page here. Sorry, I left it on the notebook. Has to do with the airport. Let's see. Were the light that we put up out there to identify the airport and act as a safety light is being reimbursed at 90% of our cost. I think we had about $14,200 or $300 in it, and we're gonna get back the money on that. In fact, it's already being processed because we've activated the new project, and that's gonna start, that's resurfacing, milling and resurfacing the taxiways. And they're gonna start on that on the 17th of this month, which is what, next Monday? I think that's the 17th. At any rate, that will take about, the project guesstimate on time is 30 days, but they feel like we'll get it done in about a week and a half. And they just like to protect themselves because you don't know what the weather's gonna be. And we're also replacing some major signs, and some of those sometimes come in a little late, but they've been ordered. We also were informed by our engineer that we are eligible for state funds. There's 76 airports in the state of Illinois, and every one of them's gonna get a project. And we have a $300,000 project on Placis and Pappas, which is a design feature in the airport that's for ground control of aircraft that are coming in. And they haven't, that's on the main runway, 927, and we haven't had that done for years. And so they're gonna come in and do that. We had to look at, we'll have to pay 10% of that, and we had to look at what we could afford to match out of airport funds and so forth. And then we also had to balance that, like the main runway needs to be resurfaced, but that's gonna cost, at least $1 million. And we only have to pay 5% of that. So by not putting it in, we could have stuck that in there, but it would have cost us an extra 50 grand. So they'll still get there. And, so we've got basically three projects. The Placis, the resurfacing of the main runway, and the construction of new partial taxiways that connect all the runways. And then, of course, the project we've got in, the fourth project would be what we're doing starting the 17th. So we've got a lot of things happening out at the airport, and they seem to be all good. But I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Budget-wise, I don't have much to say unless you have questions. I encourage you to take a look at it, see if you've got any questions that either ask Don or me. Like Don said, we put everything in and the portal's been open for us. And we've done, Josh has done everything that we can do to get the money transferred in. And I got an email yesterday saying, an email, saying that it should be in 4 to 5 working days that we would get those funds. However, how we can use those funds has not been finalized. There are some things we know that are okay, like asking the board to reimburse ourselves for some stuff that we spent last year and ran out of funds for. Those kind of things. They're not very many dollars, but it's something we can do. But in the meantime, we're gonna have to wait for the interim rules to be replaced by the final rules. And then we'll know what we can do. And
Is there any timeline on that?
oh, you mean when they'll get it done? They've been saying for weeks they're gonna get it ready and they haven't done it yet. There's also, in the computer, there's a section where it says what you can use the funds for, and then questions from other agencies throughout the United States saying, can we use it for that? And the answers are in there. So we're kind of watching that, so we get some idea, because they are saying, yes, you can use it for that. No, you cannot put in a dog sled deal. You can't use it, stuff like that, so, or cats. All right, so it's, but we need definitive, we don't want to get down the pike 6 years and have them come in and audit us and go, that's not eligible, so we want that back. So we're gonna be careful. Josh is monitoring that, and we'll, the other thing I wanted to say is before we transfer any money out of 85, or 858, we're gonna use a resolution system from the board to make sure that everybody knows what's happening and that we have a good audit trail on it. Where, unless there's some emergency, and I can't imagine what it would be, because we've got enough cash on the other side. But if we spent large amounts of money, you guys need to know about it and need to approve it. It's not gonna be run through, okay? And, I mean, you'll always get a chance to approve it, but what I'm saying is you get to prove it before it happens, okay? Any questions?
How's the sheriff department doing on overtime?
Not where we would like to. It's usually, what, $150 just in.
Roughly.
Go ahead, Carl.
This year, it's been running about 100 to 125 hours per pay period, which is kind of high. Last year, they kind of got it down, but it's been going back up. But they've had, they've had some deputies, leave, or just recently hired another deputy and maybe possibly another, so that'll hopefully help a little bit.
A zero OT is not gonna happen. I mean, realistically, because if you're on duty and something happens right at your shift change, you're not gonna go home.
Well, right now, they're under budget. Right now, the overtime is under what was budgeted for this year, so.
But it's at the end of the year,
Yeah, it's good. I just want.
For several years now, they've been way over.
Oh, yeah.
And, we thought we'd address some issues to help with it, and last year it seemed like it helped us back up again.
Oh, well.
We're going battle.
Yeah, I understand.
Something else, Dan?
No, that's fine. Yep.
Just a second, I'll be right with you. Yeah. Some are doing better than others, but it's just something we're gonna have to be on all the time. But if we could get back up to 8 deputies, which you guys have authorized, that may help. And with Derek's attitude, that may help, okay? We can't promise you nothing, but we'll stay on it. We have a need of a closed session to have Mark come down and talk about pending litigation. I did also want to remind you that on the 24th, the study session, you're going to have to plan on probably 11:30, 12 o'clock. I'm just giving you warning because our architect will be here with the engineers talking about the old jail. Okay, so and making recommendations that we may or may not take, but they're gonna be here to make them, and then we'll set that up for action later on in the, later on this summer. Does that make sense, Carl? So, all right, I need a motion to go into closed session for pending litigation, please.
We have 5 minutes for,
Yeah, we'll take a break.
okay.
Andy moves and Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We will be moving into closed session in about 5 minutes or so, depending on how fast Dan can get up and down the stairs.
That's why you don't ask an attorney.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
Okay, I just want to remind you that Matt, one of the partners with Lifley, will be here in the first meeting in, June. So please take a look at that. You've got the commissary, you've got the management statement on what they suggest, and then you've got the audit. So if you can, take a look at that, prepare questions for him, because he's the one to ask. He will give you the straight scoop and nothing but the scoop. So, at any rate, I want to remind you about that. Anything else to come before the meeting? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Andy moves. Phil seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.